Hi, everybody. It's Joe McGovern, reporter here at TheWrap, and we are happy to have you for our 2024 International Awards screening of Nawi and a conversation afterwards with the filmmaker, cast, and crew. We're going to show you the trailer for the film, and then we're going to right into a conversation with our guests. And to our audience, please take part in the live chat of the stream, share your thoughts about the movie, and let us know where you're tuning in from. Before we talk to our guests, let's look at the trailer for Nawi.
Dear future me, my biggest dream is to have a voice when I grow up.
I'm sure Nairobi is waiting for you. Go and chase your many dreams.
You will have your duties of a daughter.
Papa, please, this is my life.
Utaolewa.
Dear future me, I am guilty of being a girl. How can you run away? Because I'm afraid. Because of dreams.
Welcome back. It's my pleasure to introduce directors Tobias and Kevin Schmutzler, the writer Milka Cherotich, and this amazing lead actress, Michelle Lemuya Iken. Congratulations, first of all,
Thank you.
on this performance and this movie and the awards that you've already gotten and the awards that you're going to keep getting.
Thank
Uh,
you.
do you want to maybe start our conversation by describing your character and the journey for you into this movie and into this role?
Okay, so Nawi is okay. The role I played Nawi is a 14-year-old girl who's brilliant and doing well in her studies and has so many dreams, but then they are shattered by because she becomes a victim of early marriage, and so she can't continue with her education. And I got this role by the directors were going around schools in Turkana where we shot the movie, and I signed up for the auditions and got the role of Navi. Yeah.
Milka, tell us about developing this story as a writer, and maybe you can also explain your background because it's very interesting to hear the other things that you've done. But also, yeah, to get into developing this story, where at one point Michelle's character says that really she's just guilty of being a girl. That's the most one of the most powerful lines in the movie. Tell us about writing it.
So, writing this story is something that was very close to me. And I come from a region, I come from pastoralist community. So these pastoralists are one of the most marginalized communities in Kenya. And most of the heavy things or heavy stuff are directed to women. For example, we are told that we are there to be seen and not to be heard. We cannot be sent to school because when we go to school, we become empowered, and hence we might not take our roles, quote unquote, as we cannot take our proper spaces as women. And boys, on the other hand, are made to become more powerful, and our dreams will always not come to shine or not come to life. And I've been figuring about it for a very long time ago because I have also seen my sisters who are ahead of me. They have never gone further than the second class or second grade. Some did not even step to class. And I also have friends who they have had to cut their education short because their fathers have decided it's time for them to get married because before they become empowered and start doing things their way. And now, when I was depicting the Nawi saying that she's guilty, that's something that most of us resonate with. Most of the girls from the marginalized communities resonate with, because we ask ourselves, why us? Why is it that we always have to sacrifice ourselves? Why is it that we always have to do something that has to please the whole family, yet us, nobody is caring about us? And so that's why she said she feels guilty that she's a girl. And that is something that we still say until now, that we don't have to pay the price of being women from marginalized communities.
Yes, thank you. Very, very well said. I want to talk to Tobias and Kevin about telling this story. I mean, we should say up front, and it's made clear in the movie, that this is illegal. This has been for a while now in Kenya. It's been clear that the government says this is against the law. Child marriages, but as your film shows, and as we know, it still goes on. Tell us about getting involved and telling this story, and then your own journeys through this whole experience.
Let me start by acknowledging the fact that we are missing our Kenyan co-directors.
Right. There actually are there are four of you.
Exactly. It's very extraordinary process. Like, we have four directors. We call ourselves a directing team. It's two Kenyan ladies and my brother and I. And
And tell us that it's Valentine. What are their names?
Valentine Sheluket and Apu Marine.
Yeah.
That's the two co-directors of Nawi. And for us, we got involved with this project. It's actually a long story. 7 years ago, an NGO in Kenya approached us because we are into social impact movies. So we like to find stories that have not only create awareness but also like have a measurable impact on some issue. And we were approached by this NGO called the Learning Lions. And what they do is they train young people from Turkana, so the northern Kenyan region, in creative skills like design, videography, photography, and film. And they asked us, do you think it's possible to do like a proper feature film with our students and alumni? And that was 2017. So then we visited Turkana and the NGO, and like all these beautiful places that you can also see in the movie. And we said, yeah, definitely, this should be. There's a lot of stories here, so we should make a movie. And then we thought, yeah, next year we're gonna shoot. But then, obviously, because we are Europeans and the NGO is Kenyan German, so it was quite hard to find the right story for this, because every time we wrote a script or had a Kenyan writer write a script and then we gave feedback, it always became too European. It became westernized in a way. So, and we didn't want that. We wanted to have it authentic. We wanted to have it real and not through our vision. So we decided early on, okay, first we will need co-directors from the region because it's just the only way, and we will need to find a story in a different way. And what happened then was the NGO did a writing competition in the East African Union, so Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and so forth, for short stories. And Milka was the winning story. So her story was very, very powerful and is the story, or the groundwork of the story of Nawi. And then we did a writing room which we had students from the Learning Lions, we had Milka and ourselves in Turkana, and then we kind of developed the script. So that's why it took 7 years to make this movie.
I want to continue talking with the two of you, but also to ask Milka about that short story. Uh, what I wonder if the audience can somewhere read your short story or any of your other stories, and also what was the story about that led into this screenplay?
Okay, so haven't written a short story before. I have done it for my own personal during my leisure time, but it's not printed or it's not, you cannot find it anywhere, but it is coming. I've There is a book that children's book that is on the way. It will be coming out sometimes next year. It's about menstruation, so we will talk about that. So, and now the story that I wrote, the short story that I wrote is it's more or less what is in the film, but I will, of course, the film is much longer, but the story is similar. The story is similar, so I'll just repeat. It's a girl who was forced to get married at the age of 14. And first of all, she was ambushed. She was not prepared, and nobody had told her that she was going to get married. And just for the audience and for you to know, is that from my community, there is nothing like courtship. There is nothing like falling in love. So your parents basically decide who is going to marry you.
Yeah. Well, listen, I wanted to ask the directors about something because Milka just discussed how one of the things that we see in the movie is that the the men say this is part of our tradition. And so even though the government has forbidden it, it still continues to go on. What's interesting about the way that you've made this film is that we kind of see in the audience, at least I saw that that's a complicated issue, and of course we have this character of Joel, who's the brother, and he's not a bad guy. He's a very sweet kid. We love him, and he sort of complicates the film a little bit. Can you talk about that perspective, for as a directors, and then also I wanted to ask Michelle about working with Joel or with the actor who plays Joel.
His name is also Joel, so
Oh, it
Joel's
is. All right.
fine. So what we try to avoid is to paint this very black and white, like all men are bad and villains, and all girls are victims, which they are. But the men also are kind of stuck in this web of ancient tradition that tells them when they grow up, this is how things are done. You pay a bride price for a girl, and that's how you build your family. And you have more than one wife, which is very common. And that's just the way they are brought up. And I think we are all mirrors of the society around us. And when we know that this is how things are done, we're going to do it the same way. So it's very hard to break out for these men, even in their minds, to have the idea that something about this could be wrong or could not fit into modern times. And it was very important to us and to Milka. In the original short story, the husband was even a way better version than the one in the film. And the character of Joel, kind of, because he's also like becoming a man in the film, so we wanted to show on the example of him how they educate you into this worldview and what you undergo to become that. And but he is, as you say, he's like kind of the ally from the other side for Nawi.
Yeah, exactly. And Michelle, I'm curious to talk about your working with your co-stars, especially Joel, and also just well, first talk about that, but then I also do want to ask you about the challenges of this performance.
Okay, so working was with Joel was really fun. He's a really funny guy, even in real life. And yeah, I found his character, his role in the movie really good. I would say it's my favorite character in the movie because I love how he's really okay. He's male, but he really believes in his sister. Like even when after the results got out, he was happy that his sister will now go to Nairobi. Even when he got the bike, said he doesn't need to go to high school. Yeah, I love how he really believes in his sister, unlike the other men who 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 look down on women, but he is a good guy because he even tried to help his sister at some point. Yeah, I just love the role that Joel plays. And also a challenge in like me in this role was like, because I'm also from Turkana. Yeah, I was born and raised from Turkana, as from there. So it really takes courage to come and do something that's against your community's beliefs. So you want to show them how this is wrong, but you're from there, so you might be afraid that they maybe are going to disown you. But yeah, it really took courage to play this role. Yeah.
Very. You know, I think it's almost a tribute, an acknowledgement of how good you are. That there's a scene in the movie a little bit later, up on a rooftop, where you and Joel look at each other, no words, no dialogue. It's just your eyes and his eyes, and we in the audience, we know what each one of you is thinking. How did you how did you do this? I mean, I guess I'm always going to want to ask actors how they do it, but how do you act with your eyes, uh, showing us the emotions that she's going through, and get those feelings so that the camera lens captures them? How do you do it?
Okay, I think it was easier because you've met these girls. Personally, I'm from there, so I know them personally, and I've interacted with them, and I know how they feel. So I try to fit myself in the shoes of this girl. So then I also just follow the director's instructions because they know better, and try to fit in the shoes of this girl. So you actually try to act how they would feel, like, to yeah, you know how they usually feel. You could see it from their eyes, and now it becomes easier to act it out because you're doing it for them now. You're
Yeah.
more passionate about it. Yeah. Uh,
Curious to ask two of the directors, where did you guys, because it seems like from what I can tell, it seems like it was mostly on location. Maybe there was a few sets that you built, but or improvised. Where did you film this, and how important was it for the actors so that they didn't feel like they were in some kind of closed back lot doing a movie? It felt more like an experience.
Yeah, so the as has been mentioned before, the region is called Turkana, and Turkana basically has one city that is called Lodwar, a bigger city, and north of Lodwar, the desert starts that stretches up to the border of South Sudan, and in that very desert, basically all the scenes take place. So the NGO that is like at the center of this project, they found a big underwater reservoir in the desert, and that's where they put their camp and what they call the campus, where they teach the students and do all these classes. It's actually a beautiful location, just that it's in the middle of the desert. So there is no infrastructure around it. There are just families living in those manyatas around it, and like smaller villages, with a couple of shacks and stuff. And so that's basically the setting for everything. So what we did was we built like one set. We like our producers and art team from the region, they spent months in constructing like the main village where the family is living. So that is all built for the shoot. It's actually still there now. People live there. Um, um, because we knew, okay, we have a lot of scenes playing there, and we can't just ask families to move out of their homes for a couple of weeks, because where would they go? So we had this one built, and the rest is all real locations, and that's really a thing. When you watch the movie, we hope that the audience can feel that this is all real, so that these places exist. The church they visit later in the movie exists. There is an island, like there is a gigantic lake, the Lake Turkana, one of the biggest desert lakes on earth. It stretches around the north south borderline shore is around 200 miles, so it's a gigantic lake in the middle of the desert. And in this lake there is an island, and on this island fishing boys live, and most of them are orphans, which also is something that comes up later in the movie. So all these locations and all these facts are real, and they have been untapped so far. And what like our whole team, and especially also the cast was trying to create is that feeling of authenticity and of everything you see here is real, is feelable, is touchable, and that's hopefully why it's also kind of draws the audience in.
Well, one thing that is very compelling, and it almost seems like almost like a little bit like a Spielberg movie for a minute, is where there's a dry river bed that the characters are in, and all of a sudden this big water comes gushing down, and Michelle is involved in that scene. How did you do that? I mean, was because it doesn't look like it doesn't look like movie magic when I'm watching it, but it must. How did you? Something has to.
We had enormous luck because this scene was in the script early on, and we were wondering how do we do a spring flood, because these things happen there. There's rivers, they are dry most of the time, and then like a big wave comes and the water rises and rises and rises, and then you have a river within seconds or minutes. So there's three VFX shots in there, but the rest we filmed in a river that happened to be when we wanted to go to the actual location where we had planned to do it in a very shallow thing. We had like the perfect shot list to kind of fake it, and then when we wanted to go there, there was just like a river in our way, like a fresh river, and we said, okay, let's check how deep this is, and let's see if we can just do it here. And then like we went in with sticks and stuff, and it's like in the movie of course it looks like she's drowning and she's struggling, but it was like, I don't know, up to your
Just
knees, waist,
Yeah.
something like that. And there was obviously people standing upstream and or downstream in case. So yeah, we did that in a flooded river actually. Yeah.
wow. Is that Michelle? Is that kind of stuff? Uh, can that be sort of fun in a way? Because in the movie you are in a lot of danger, but it seems like what was just being said. It wasn't as dangerous, but you had to act it.
Yeah, it was fun scene somehow. It was fun shooting that because, yeah, acting like you are drowning and the water was really muddy. As in, I was allowed to be a little kid for a few minutes, and it was really fun. It unlocked the inner child in me. Yeah, it was a fun scene to shoot. Yeah.
So, Milka, I want to ask something about, but I want to be careful because I don't want to give away the ending of the movie, which is very emotional. But it's an emotional in a way that kind of surprised me because there's a message that is being conveyed that sometimes progress is a bunch of small steps, and some of the people who are real heroes don't get to enjoy the the progress that they have had such a big part in bringing forth. How how did you how did you come up with what was going to be the right ending so that we actually are very moved? It's very emotional, but it also is real. It doesn't it's not such a simple happy ending that we in a different kind of a movie we might have expected.
So I must admit that the ending was a little bit very very complicated. We had back and forth discussions on how shall we do this, But what we decided is actually what happens in real, because most people try to focus on what you call the happy ending, but then what happens to the souls who went away? Who will speak for them? And so in the end, we all decided that we have to pick this ending, and that we become the voice for those who had actually would have gone silent.
Yeah, yeah. Um, did Kevin or Tobias want to talk about that? I guess to be somewhat vague about what actually happens, but to talk about I guess what Milka said, the conversation that was being had to decide how to
Yeah,
leave the audience.
it was a long discussion in the writers' room, and in the end, or in the beginning, when I said what we wanted to try to achieve was a social impact movie, and that we believe that the message and the emotion that people are left with can spark the social change. So it was crucial to us to not do like a Hollywood ending and then people go out of the cinema and say, yeah, okay, this is not too bad. When they speak up for themselves, the girls can, yeah. How do I not give it away? But it's this movie ultimately supposed to help the NGO on the ground to fight child marriage. So there is like the Navi initiative where we collect donations through this movie to build boarding schools for girls in the region. So we need the audience to understand that this is a problem that's not just going to go away, but that we can take action to help these girls in the future, and the future Nawis that we kind of uh, can create this happy ending. There is hope on the horizon. Like, you know what I'm talking about when I say hope. There is
Y-
hope on the
Yes,
horizon,
yes, yes.
but we have to take action. We have to follow Nawi's lead and that's why it's also called the Nawi initiative. We have to follow the dreams of this girl to make this change happen. And this is why it might feel like a heavy ending, but it has this hopeful glimmer on the horizon.
Very, yeah. She says in one of her diaries, I think she says that in the big world there are a million little worlds, and I think that's what comes across, is that what we get to experience here is one story that we relate to, we get very connected to, and then we see what that one story can do for future stories going forward. So it's amazing that you landed on that. I mean, it's complicated even as an audience member, because it's not as Hollywood happy as we want it to be, but it stays. I'm going to think about it a lot longer, I think, because of that. So to finish up, I want to get all of you to talk about this selection, because this is very special. Here you have a movie uh, that is a critique of something that still happens within this country, and then this country goes and selects it to be the representative at the uh, for the international film Oscar.
Yeah,
That must feel great.
that feels great, and it's we consider it to as a very brave thing, from Kenyan politics, to put this movie out there and to give it to the world basically, and to not block it. So when we got this note, um, it was actually, I think it's like everyone who has worked on this to help amplify the voices of those girls was so happy that that this movement actually, and this wave that we started to create in Kenya by having Kenyan screenings within Kenya, having like the second longest cinema run of a local movie within Kenya, which, so we saw, okay, audience they liked the movie, they supported, so things are going on. And when we then uh, got the note that they would actually send it to the Oscars, it was like, yes, it's not only us, we are not like fighting alone, there is a bigger institutions and politics, and everyone is kind of is kind of behind it and is seeing the problem and is supporting the movie in supporting them. So that's I think how it goes, because we have always known this movie has basically two audience groups. It must work internationally. This is why we are on board, because we, through international attention, we can raise donations, we can raise a lot of awareness and go to policymakers and create change on that level. But on the other hand, the movie needs to work within the country. It needs to work within Kenya, and it needs to work within the communities where the people are actually practicing these traditions. It needs to touch the man. And actually, our like Apu Maureen, one of our co-directors, is actually, as we speak, screening the movie in Kakuma, one of the biggest UN refugee camps in the world. We have a screening series there, like as a start of a grassroots campaign where we want to send a mobile cinema truck through the communities to get the movie to them, to engage in dialogues, and to also like sparkle change on that grassroots level. So like getting this selection was something that felt so real and also so right and so good. So that we also say now all of us are in LA at the moment, trying to like take this responsibility and the honor that they provided us with, and like do our best to spread the word, to get it out, to get the movie seen, get Michelle seen,
Yes.
um, and then see how far we can take this.
Milka, tell us about your reaction to that selection, and also if you want to let us know where we can see you, because you're popular on YouTube. I've been told. For our audience that want to see some more.
Okay, so to start with the YouTube thing, I during Corona time, everybody was very idle. Then I thought to myself, all right, why not start something on YouTube? So basically, what I had on YouTube, I go a lot into communities. I love culture. I'm a proponent of culture. So I love showing also my culture to other people. So basically, that's what I was trying out. But I've been inactive lately because I've been busy also with work. But hopefully, I will still go out and create more videos for you for culture. Now, to speak about the selection for Nawi, I felt some kind of joy because I saw like there is now light. It's being acknowledged, and that this issue is no longer being swept under the carpet, because that has been the norm since many years, that nobody wants to talk about this thing. They term it as a very gray area. Nobody wants to go into that direction. But the fact that the Kenya film decided to submit it meant to me that we all are acknowledging the pain and the agony that the victims of child marriage are going through
Yeah.
in an empathic and compassionate way.
Thank you. And finally, Michelle, this journey for you, I think, is just starting, basically. What do you? How excited are you for obviously your work to be seen and recognized? It already has been, but then to develop and to move on and let us know. Are you? Is there anything else you have? Is there other acting that you're doing right now, or is this all part of the Nawi journey for now?
Okay, so no, this there are no other acting stuff I'm doing at the moment. Yeah, I've only acted in Nawi so far. Yeah, and also yeah, I would like to keep on acting because it's a really cool job. Let me say, film is just a cool industry because it gets to touch people, to impact people in a different kind of way, in an also entertaining way. Yeah, it's a cool industry. Yeah, and yes, I would like to go on with the job. I was happy about the selection for the Oscars. First of all, I'm new to all these things, and now I come and ask, my very first movie gets to be selected in the Oscars. Yeah, it's a really something to be happy about, and I'm also happy that this topic, okay, finally people want to talk about it. Finally, it's going to get the exposure it needs and going to save lives. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna thank you first of all for everything you've said and all you've contributed. But we're gonna see a lot more of you. So this is just the beginning of your face and those eyes, which I've already said is a major reason for why this film works so well. Um, Congratulations, everybody, and best of luck going forward. I'm so happy that you were able to come and talk about the film. It's been a great conversation. I also want to thank everyone for joining us today and let everybody know that you should be the first to know about the upcoming Wrap screenings and get access to exclusive content by becoming a Wrap Pro member. Join now and take advantage of a free trial. And for all screening information, including past screenings you may have missed, please visit TheWrap.com events tab on the main bar. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.